Hello, Realtors. Welcome to the SCR update. This is episode number 377. It is December 8th, 2025, and I'm Nick Kremydas, as always, your host, CEO of the South Carolina Realtors. The SCR update is your go-to source for what's happening in the world of real estate and how it impacts you and your business. Happy holidays, everyone. I hope that this December season is as fun and enriching as it is for me. I was just telling Mike, our producer here, on the way into work this morning, I was putting on a show on I-20. I was singing along with some Christmas carols and some of the classics, and it must have been a sight. I'm glad no one could actually hear me, because that would sound like a bag of cats getting beaten with a stick, I think. But and no cats were harmed in the making of this podcast today, just FYI. But let me switch gears. We got a couple of very serious things to talk about today. First, let's talk about RESPA. It's been in the news a lot lately. What is it? Why should you care? And why is everyone talking about RESPA? So the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act is a federal consumer protection statute, and violating it can lead to very severe penalties, including fines of up to $10,000 per violation and even imprisonment. The core of RESPA for our real estate agents is Section 8, which prohibits giving or receiving a fee, kickback, or thing of value, quote unquote, in exchange for the referral of business related to a real estate settlement service. So I'm going to go through 4 or 5 guiding principles here to help you stay compliant and avoid RESPA violations. So number 1 is the golden rule: no quid pro quo. You cannot accept anything of value in exchange for referring business to a settlement service provider. That includes mortgage lenders, title companies, even closing attorneys. A thing of value is very broadly defined. It's not just cash. It can include gift cards, concert tickets, a discount on services, equipment, or even office supplies. So make sure that you're avoiding that pitfall. The other thing to make sure that you handle carefully is co-marketing. It is common for lenders and agents to market together, but you must follow very strict rules to avoid it looking like the lender is subsidizing or even paying for the agent's business in exchange for referrals. So the rule here is simple. Each party must pay their pro rata share of the cost based on their prominence in the ad. For example, if you send out a postcard where 80% of the space promotes your listing and 20% promotes the lender, you've got to pay 80% of the cost. The lender pays the 20%. If the lender pays 100% or pays part of your share, that could be considered a RESPA kickback, and that's certainly a violation. Make sure that you keep invoices and proof of payment showing that each party paid their fair share directly to the vendor. The other area that you need to stay on top of is the one dealing with affiliated business arrangements. So if your brokerage owns a stake in a title company or a mortgage lender, you can refer clients to them. But here are 3 things that we would strongly suggest that you follow, these 3 conditions. Number 1, disclose. You got to provide a written affiliated business arrangement disclosure statement to the client at or before the time of referral. Number 2, you cannot require the client to use this affiliated business. You have to avoid any required use requirement, if that makes sense. And third, making sure that your expectation that the only thing you can receive from your ownership is a return on that ownership interest, meaning dividends or profits, not specific fees for specific transactions and referrals. Number 4, you've got to navigate how gifts and other promotional items are handled. Best practices to avoid these situations altogether. Generally, you can accept normal, what you would call promotional items like pens or hats that may have the lender or whatnot, their brand or name on it. But there's a fine line. These items that advertise the lender's business are generally okay. If a lender wants to pay for a lunch and business is being discussed, the lender is there to promote their business. That's generally okay. But if a lender is just giving you, say, food for an open house and is not there and is asking you to put out flyers for their mortgage business or whatever, those practices are generally prohibited. If you have any questions about where that line is, and if you're worried that you're crossing that line, you probably are, but call the SCR Legal Hotline and we can help provide you guidance. Another item to consider under RESPA is I know many brokerages rent space in their office to a mortgage lender or title rep. Make sure that you're charging fair market value for that rent, that it's a separate space, and that you're not charging them extra for access to agents or referrals. The rent must be strictly for the square footage and whatever is fair market value in your area where the property is located. Now, generally, broker-to-broker referral fees are okay under RESPA. It's an exception in Section 8. But as we've noted in previous updates, that referral fees have come under scrutiny, and if you're not disclosing those referral fees to the parties being referred, then the SCR legal team certainly recommends it. We sent an all-broker legal update just last week with recommended best practice in that regard. And the SCR, I believe is Form 600, the broker-to-broker referral fee disclosure form is going to be updated in January to reflect better consumer transparency and less risk for our members. So, Mike, we're going to try something new this week. Well, Realtors, we have a new segment for SCR Update this week. We're calling it Don't Do That. And it's a segment where we're going to highlight the common mistakes, ethical slip-ups, and risky business practices that you need to avoid. From compliance headaches to client horror stories, we're here to help keep you out of hot water. So let's dive right in. Well, in today's Don't Do That segment, we're going to tackle a classic social media misstep. Lots of realtors are posting on social media questions that they shouldn't be posting on social media. And here's one that I ran across last week where an agent asked the question, which builder gives the biggest agent bonuses? Realtors, broadcasting this to the general public is a very dangerous question. And here's why you should skip posts like this and put your client, and remember to put your client's interests first. So let's explain how this can damage your professional reputation by looking at it from the client's point of view. So remember, when you post stuff on social media, just because you think you're in a private Facebook group, remember, these things posts get copied, screenshotted, whatever the word is, and nothing you post online is ever really private. But when a client sees a post like this, what do you think the client thinks? They don't see a savvy business person. They see an agent that's prioritizing their paycheck over the client's best interest. It screams, hey, I will steer you to whoever pays me the most, which is a direct violation of your trust with the public, of your agency agreement, and license law as well. Remember, real estate agents already fight a stigma of being overpaid or salesy, right? Public hunting for bonuses reinforces that negative stereotype that agents are only in it for the money. And this damages not only your reputation, but the entire industry's reputation. And remember, it can also be a license law and ethics violation. Steering is not just a fair housing problem. Let me say that again. Steering is not just a fair housing problem. Financial steering can take place too. And when you are prioritizing a property based on your compensation rather than what your client actually needs, can certainly be construed as steering. And even if you don't actually steer the client, the appearance of it in a public forum creates a paper trail that a disgruntled client or an ethics hearing panel or a plaintiff's lawyer could use against you. Remember, your fiduciary duty is to find the best home for your buyer, not the best bonus for yourself. Publicly soliciting incentives suggests you are neglecting this primary duty. And remember, one of the core elements of the National Commission's lawsuit is that your fees, your compensation is negotiated up front with your buyer client, with your listing client, and you cannot come back in and amend your buyer agency agreement just because there's different money that's being offered out there by a listing company or a builder or a seller. Remember to keep your client's interests first. So, is there a good way to phrase a question like this? Of course. Who has the best buyer incentives? Right? Who has the best incentives for my buyer that can help with their closing costs, rate buy downs, etc.? This type of question shows you're fighting for your client, not for your own personal bottom line. So, speaking of bottom line, asking for bonuses on Facebook, not a good idea, realtors. It is going to create reputational loss and possibly even legal and ethical risk for you and your company. Remember to always put your client's interests first and stay focused on your client's success. So, realtors, just a reminder, don't do that. Well, Mike, I think that's a great way to end this week's update. Hope that all of you are staying safe and warm this holiday season. It's been a little rainy and chilly here in South Carolina in the last few days, but we will continue with the hustle and bustle of the season, continue to provide you updates as needed through the end of the year. In the meantime, realtors, stay realtor strong, and we'll be back in touch again real soon. Take care, everyone.